The rain fell in relentless sheets that September morning in the mountain town of Crestwood, Colorado, soaking Lila's worn boots as she hurried toward Crestwood Elementary. At 31, Lila was a fourth-grade teacher, her days filled with lesson plans and the chatter of children. Her faded coat was damp, and a chalk smudge marred her sweater from a rushed classroom prep. Just get to school, she thought, clutching her bag. On the main street, a group of women stood under bright umbrellas, their stylish jackets pristine, their laughter sharp. One whispered, and the others glanced at Lila, their smiles tinged with pity. Her cheeks flushed, her wet hair clinging to her face. I look like a mess, she thought. Feeling small and wishing she could fade away, the school bus pulled up, and Lila climbed aboard, her boots leaving wet prints. She sat at the back, her head lowered. Other passengers, teachers, shopkeepers avoided her row, their glances making her feel invisible. She stared at her hands, the chipped nail polish a reminder of her chaotic morning. Why can't I be like them? She wondered. Fighting tears. Teaching was her passion. But today, Crestwood felt like a place where she didn't belong. At school, Lila slipped into the teacher's lounge. Hoping to dry off, a man stood by the coffee maker. His sandy hair tousled, his smile warm as he chatted with a colleague. That's Miles, her friend Clara introduced. He's the new science teacher. Miles turned, his hazel eyes kind. Hi, I'm Miles. You are? Lila, she mumbled, self-conscious of her damp clothes. Rough morning out there, huh? He said, offering her a cup of coffee. Want one? She nodded, grateful for his warmth. Over the next few weeks, Lila and Miles became friendly. He was engaging, patient, and loved sparking curiosity in his students during lunch breaks. He sat with her, asking about her teaching and sharing stories of experiments gone awry. You ever hike Rosewood Trail? He asked one day, mentioning a path lined with wild roses. It's peaceful, especially after rain. Lila shook her head, intrigued by his easy kindness. One rainy afternoon, Miles found her grading papers in the lounge. Lila, want to grab tea at the Mountain Brew Cafe after school? His tone was light, but his eyes held a spark. Nervous but curious, she agreed. The cafe was warm, with fogged windows and a single red rose in a vase on their table. They talked for hours, the rain pattering outside. Lila shared her love for teaching. When a student's eyes light up, that's everything, she said. Miles nodded. I get it. Science does that for me. Lila felt seen, her insecurities easing. Their connection grew. Miles brought her tea during morning prep, and Lila shared lesson plans for a joint science literature project. One Saturday, he invited her to Rosewood Trail. The roses are blooming, he said. The trail was misty, the air fragrant with blooms. Miles picked a pink rose and handed it to her. For a great teacher, he said, grinning. Lila blushed, pinning it to her bag, her heart light. They sat on a bench, watching the mountains, and she thought, this feels like something special. But as autumn deepened, doubts crept in. Miles's attention wavered. He canceled tea dates, citing extra work for the school's science fair. It's just a busy season, he'd say, and Lila nodded, wanting to trust him. One evening, she waited at the Mountain Brew, wearing her favorite green scarf, a rose from their hike tucked into her hair. Miles didn't show. His text came late, got held up. With a project? Sorry, can we reschedule? Her heart sank, old fears resurfacing. Am I enough? She wondered, walking home in the rain, her boots soaking again. The next day, his text was brief. Busy week. Talk soon. The words felt cold, like the mountain air. Lila waited, hoping he'd call, but days passed in silence. One night, he appeared at her classroom, holding a single rose. Missed you? He said, smiling. Her heart wavered, and she let him in. ignoring the quiet ache in her chest. But the ache grew. Miles's visits became sporadic, his excuses piling up. At a school open house, Leela saw him laughing with a parent, a woman with polished hair and a warm smile. Their ease mirrored how he'd been with her. Her stomach twisted. Is she why he's distant? She thought, slipping away. That night, in her apartment, she stared at the wilted rose. I'm not his choice, she realized, tears falling. She'd felt invisible in the rain that first day, and now she felt it again. The next morning, Leela woke with resolve. She brewed tea and looked in the mirror. You're enough, she told herself. At school, she avoided Miles, focusing on her students' laughter. When he approached, saying, Leela, why are you distant? She took a deep breath. I saw you with that woman. Miles, if you're not all in, I can't do this. I deserve more. His face fell. I didn't mean to hurt you, he said. Leela nodded, walking away, her heart heavy, but her steps firm. The weeks that followed were hard. Leela missed Miles's warmth. But she leaned on her students and Clara, who listened over coffee. One weekend, she visited her grandmother, Iris, in a nearby valley. Iris, a retired teacher with a rose garden, had always been Leela's anchor. Over tea, Leela shared her story. You're like my roses, Iris said, handing her a red bloom. You bloom through storms. Leela hugged her, the roses scent grounding her. Leela poured her energy into teaching, creating projects like a class mural and a poetry unit. She started writing poems in a notebook, capturing her journey from invisibility to strength. One day, Clara complimented her new rose-colored sweater. Leela, you look radiant, she said. The words sparked something. Leela began small changes, wearing brighter clothes, tying her hair neatly. Smiling more, at school, colleagues noticed. You seem different, a teacher said. Even her principal paused to say, nice work on the mural, Leela. One spring morning, Leela was planning a lesson at the Mountain Brew when a familiar voice called her name. It was Theo, a college friend who'd moved to Crestwood to run a community garden. Leela, it's been ages, he said, his smile warm. They caught up, laughing over old memories. Theo's kindness felt steady, like sunlight after rain, over the next few months. They met often garden visits, hikes on Rosewood Trail, tea at the cafe. Theo gave her a yellow rose one day. For my favorite teacher, he said. Leela's heart warmed, free of the doubt she'd felt with Miles. Their friendship grew into love. Theo was honest, present, and made her feel valued. One summer evening, under a starry sky on Rosewood Trail, he took her hand. Leela, you're my everything. Will you marry me? Tears of joy filled her eyes as she recalled her journey. Yes, she whispered as he slipped a ring with a rose-shaped gem onto her finger. Leela visited Iris the next day, showing her the ring. You've blossomed, my dear, Iris said, handing her a bouquet of roses. I'm so proud. Leela smiled, knowing her path from the rain-soaked bus to this moment had made her stronger. To make the story longer, I've added detailed scenes to deepen Leela's journey and the supporting characters' roles. Leela launched a poetry project for her students, encouraging them to write about courage. One shy student, Emma, shared a poem about standing up to a bully, inspired by Leela's encouragement. The class's applause mirrored Leela's own growth, and she wrote a poem about it. Later sharing it at a school event, Leela spent a weekend helping Iris tend her rose garden, pruning bushes and planting new blooms. Iris shared stories of her teaching days and a lost love, teaching Leela resilience. Roses grow stronger after pruning, Iris said, giving her a pink rose. The moment inspired Leela's poetry. Reinforcing her self-worth, Leela volunteered at Theo's community garden, planting roses and vegetables. Theo praised her knack for teaching kids about plants, saying, "You make everything grow." The work, surrounded by roses, became a metaphor for Lila's healing, and she wrote a blog post about it. Connecting with local readers, Lila organized a talent show, collaborating with Clara to showcase student performances. Miles helped with music, but Lila focused on her students, their joy reminding her of her purpose. A student dedicated a song to her, saying, "Miss Lila, you make us brave." The moment solidified her strength. Lila attended a poetry reading at Theo's bookstore, sharing a poem about rising after rain. The audience's applause and Theo's proud smile boosted her confidence. She bonded with a local poet, Sarah, who became a friend, encouraging her to keep writing and sharing her voice. After Theo's proposal, Lila hosted a small engagement party, inviting Clara, Sarah, Iris, and colleagues. Iris gave a toast, "Lila's heart is a rose, resilient and radiant." Lila read a poem for Theo, weaving their love story, and felt her journey from invisibility to joy complete. Lila started a blog about teaching and personal growth, sharing her Crestwood experiences. Readers commented, "Your story inspires me to try again." She met a reader, a young teacher named Mia, for coffee, sharing advice on confidence. The connection showed Lila her journey was helping others. Lila and Theo attended Crestwood's Rose Festival, where Iris displayed her blooms. Lila helped organize a kids' gardening workshop, teaching them to plant roses. Iris teased Theo about his love for Lila, and they planted a rose bush together, symbolizing her growth. Inspiring a poem published locally, Lila's principal offered her a lead teacher role. Citing her innovative projects, nervous but emboldened, she accepted, training new teachers and sharing her journey. The role cemented her transformation, and she wrote a blog post about it, titled "Blossoming in the Classroom."